Hello everyone and welcome to Christine. My name is Zachary and welcome to my desktop. Now we're at my desktop today because I'm going to be sharing how I set up a character in World of Warcraft to work with a steering wheel. First thing, download the third-party program Anti-Micro from their GitHub page. Be sure it's installed and detecting the controllers you want to use. And then you should see this panel here with all your keybinds. Now, before you start setting up the keybinds on the wheel, go back into World of Warcraft and be sure all the spells you want to use are keybound to something. Doesn't matter what you keybind it to. I like to bind all my characters the exact same keybinds and then change what spells they correlate to with the profiles back in Anti-Micro. So back in Anti-Micro, of course, you can find those profiles both here and across the bottom. Make a profile, save it, and then you're ready to start setting up your keybinds. Now, the first thing I'm going to set up is my movement system, starting here with axis 1. This corresponds with the wheel itself. As you can see from this bar as I turn it back and forth, you've got your minimum input required to count as a key press with this blue bar and your maximum input allowance with a red bar. So for the blue bar, I'm going to lower that, set that to about 1,000. This will give me still enough dead zone to walk in a straight line, but I don't have to turn the wheel very much to activate a key press. And then for the maximum value, I'm going to lower that to 9,000. This gives me a smaller radius to have to turn the wheel to turn it to the full maximum turning value. What I want to do is keep my hands from getting crossed up with the wheel turning upside down. That way it just helps me find the buttons easier as I'm doing stuff. Then you're ready to actually put up the keybinds. Now, when I did this on my Demon Hunter, I just did the wheel left and right to A and D. But what I'm going to try to do is do the mouse left and mouse right. And this is going to imitate the walking system in World of Warcraft, which allows for a progressive steering by how you move the mouse more. I'm hoping this more mimics the natural way of which you would drive a car, where you turn more with the wheel, you turn more with the car, or in this case, the character. So the next thing, of course, is not axis 2, it's actually axis 3. Axis 3 is the gas. No need to change the minimum or maximum input here. Just go ahead and set your keybind to the middle mouse button. So now I'm hopefully imitating the walking system correctly. Axis 2 is the brake. I'm going to set that to S for backup. Now, with the way this walking system works, I don't think I can walk backwards and change directions, but at least this way I'll be able to walk backwards in a straight line should I need to. Finally, axis 4 is the clutch, and I'm just going to set that to tab. Now, when I was DPSing, it was fine to kick the clutch and change through targets tabbing. However, when I'm healing, I want to be able to accurately select my party member and heal them as quickly as possible. So once you have that set up, be sure to save your profile, and then we'll go over to the actual shifter controller. Now this is kind of the big idea involved in trying to heal using a steering wheel. We'll go back into World of Warcraft, and as you may know, by default, there is already keybinds set up for party member targeting. So what I'm going to do is set the gears to target certain party members using the shifter. So gear 1 will be party member 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, and 5 is going to be self-target. Now, the reason why I've done this, gears 1, 2, 3, and 4 are easy to hit at random accurately. However, it's much harder to hit gear 5 if I'm not going in sequential order. So by putting it to self-target, I'm hoping that I won't actually have to target and heal myself directly a lot. With that being said, gear 6 I've went ahead and bound to my on-use trinket. The idea being I can hit clutch, tab to an enemy, find gear 6, hit it, use my trinket, and then already have my hand on the shifter ready to shift back to a target for my next healing ability. The final two gears on the shifter, gear 7 and reverse, are pretty easy to hit at random, but I'm still going to set those to self-target defensive or healing abilities because I can't be in gear, say, 2 and gear 7 at the same time, so I can't pick a target and use an ability on those last two gears. So in gear 7, I'm going to put my Kyrian Vial, and in reverse, I'm going to put my Desperate Prayer. And then we're back to the wheel and the rest of the buttons on the wheel. Now, I'm not going to record myself setting up the keybinds for every single button on the wheel. So I'm just going to go ahead and explain my thought process here. On the wheel, you have buttons on both the left and right side of the wheel. And since the shifter is on my right side of the wheel, I'll have to use my right hand to change targets with a shifter. With that being said, I want to put my single target direct healing abilities such as Heal, Flash Heal, Holy Word Serenity on the buttons on the more left side of the wheel. And on the buttons on the right side of the wheel, I'm going to bind those to AoEs such as Circle of Healing, Prayer of Healing, and maybe Sanctify. The reason why is those don't particularly require a direct target. So if I'm walking, running, or just need AoE healing, I've got my right hand on those buttons and not changing target on the gear shift. The paddles on the wheel, I'll set those to some prominent abilities, Bubble and Dispel. Now, the reason why I don't have a problem putting important abilities on the paddles is because they're so large and don't move, I can easily move my hand back and forth from the shifter to the paddle with no errors to get whatever ability I need. Then the other buttons along the wheel, I'll just bind those to random cooldowns and other spells that are less popular. Things that they might be awkward to hit, but since I don't have to hit them all that much, it shouldn't be a huge problem. Now, one of the biggest problems with doing this as a holy priest is you have a lot of spells between your offensive spells and your actual healing abilities. Now, because I'm going to be healing, and I won't particularly need to attack the enemies that much, I'll have to neglect my attacking spells, because once I take out the 5 gears used for my targeting system, I only have 20 buttons left to bind spells to. And because of my on-use trinket and the fact that I'm a Kyrian, so it actually requires 2 buttons for my class ability, I have about 21 spells I want to bind to 20 buttons. Obviously, something here will have to be sacrificed, and I'm still not completely sure which spell is going to be left off. It's possible that I may make 2 profiles with an alternating spell that I may not need in all situations. For example, my Symbol of Hope that gives back mana regeneration, I don't think I'll need that a whole lot during dungeons. There won't be a boss fight long enough, I don't expect, to really need a mana cooldown during the boss fight, and in between trash mobs, I could just as easily eat food instead of using a spell. Not really sure. One of the problems with trying to do it this way, but then again, I am trying to heal mythics with the steering wheel, so I don't expect exactly perfection. I want the first time I try this out to probably be in the actual mythic dungeon. Now, however, because this is healing and I don't want to necessarily ruin a group entirely, I think, to be sure my targeting system works, I'll run over to Proving Grounds and try it out. Okay, so here we are at the Proving Grounds. Now, on the way over here, I thought that maybe I should change the radius of the wheel to be a little bit smaller, because I still feel like I have to turn the wheel kind of a lot to actually turn. But let's go ahead and try this as is, and we'll do the, I guess, just the gold. A little bit challenge, but of course not the endless, because I don't want to be here for days.
Attacks will be relentless.
Haven't done this in a while,
Be prepared
so let's
to
see
use
how
your
it goes.
strongest healing spells.
And I remember these being sort of scripted, so it probably won't be as challenging as if you're doing an actual dungeon, because whereas the item and gear is scaled in these, this is still only gold, and I can remember gold not being that hard, really. The biggest problem with doing this in a dungeon, I imagine, is having to move and dodge mechanics, as well as the surprises from other players standing in stuff, getting hit by things, or possibly the DPS are being insufficient or a tank being undergeared. However, here, things are scaled pretty okay to make it just good enough for a gold ranking. So there was my first Dispel, and actually felt pretty good. Like, that almost feels faster dispelling with a shifter than it does normally with a mouse. So one thing I gotta get used to is the way I've got the walking set up, with the brake pedal just being walk backwards in S and everything else being connected to the mouse. I can't turn while backing up, so I keep wanting to turn and back up to change directions, but it doesn't do anything. I can only walk backwards in a straight line. Yeah, that wasn't too bad. A bit awkward with hand placement, but of course I don't really have to move too much in this arena, so that could be a much bigger problem if I was in a dungeon and had to actually dodge mechanics or follow along behind the group. I'm kinda trying to try everything out here to be sure I like how everything's placed. And everything seems pretty okay. I mean, it's a bit awkward, obviously. Uh, Moving around and trying to do things is the worst part, but I kind of expected that. So I'm going to try to use my last cooldowns during this phase just to test them out. Go ahead and hit him. Good, easy placement, no problem there. And... oh, crap.
I have fallen. I am sorry. I shall train harder for next time.
Right, so right there, the mouse went too far to the left, which went off screen onto my other screen and deactivated World of Warcraft. So when I tried to heal the guy, the screen was unactivated and I couldn't heal. I had to go to my mouse, re-click to activate the window and try to heal him, which I had just wasted all my cooldowns. I had none and couldn't catch him up in time and lost on the very final wave, which is super cool. But well, I would have been fine if the window wasn't deactivated. So I think everything's okay here. Everything's good. The spells are good enough. I'll get used to them as I use it more. Of course, obviously I found out that I'm going to need to try to find a way to lock the mouse inside the window, which you can do that with an option inside of the interface settings. So that shouldn't be a problem. That's just something that I guess should have done right there, and it would have been a successful run. But hey there, so editor me from like 2 months after I recorded this. So I kind of abandoned this video and idea for a while, and when I came back to it, I didn't really like what I said here, so I'm just going to record over myself. Um, Doing this healing with a wheel wasn't as bad as maybe I first thought it was going to be. And it's been a while since I've tried to revisit this deal. Now, I may start trying to put up a video of me healing, of me DPSing with a demon hunter with a wheel, and some other things on this channel. World of Warcraft and completely unrelated video games as well. So if you're interested in any of that, keep an eye open on this channel. I don't know how quickly things will occur. Uh, but yeah, thanks for watching. Oh, and uh, if you noticed in the little webcam there, I don't like my posture because I'm using just a webcam and I was trying to fit both my head and the shifter with my hand on it since like the wheel is kind of the main part of my video, but I also didn't want to cut my head off. So I'm like crouched over in the web camera, so I look like a PC gamer goblin, but I don't normally look like that, I think. I don't know, probably do. Anyways, thanks.